Hi everybody, I'm Margo True. I'm the food editor here at Sunset Magazine. And it is with great pleasure that we have today Ryan Scott.
Hi everybody.
Who is the host of the Ryan Scott Show on KGO 840?
810.
810,
Close.
KGO 810.
That's all right.
And he also opened a brand new restaurant, Fintown, in San Francisco. And he's the author of this great new book, 1 to 5. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make bacon, amazing bacon that's kind of caramelized and herby. So we're drinking coffee and we're cooking, right?
Yes, we are. First and foremost, prepackaged bacon, the bacon that you have at house, at the store. If you want to get a little thicker bacon, adjust the recipe that you find in my book. But it's pretty simple. I'm going to have Margo actually take the bacon,
all right,
put down her Kahlua coffee.
No Kahlua.
No, there's no Kahlua in there. That was mine on my flight. So what you do is I want you to put the bacon on a sheet rack. Why do we put it on a sheet rack? That way the bacon doesn't stick. So it actually bakes and all the bacon grease goes down to the bottom. I reserved the bacon grease. It was my grandmother's method, Grandma Lena. She would have the big Folgers can on the counter and save all the bacon grease, and she would saute in the bacon grease all day long. Yeah. It's an old school classic technique, but what you do is put the bacon on there.
Okay.
And now the way that we amplify this, the way that we Ryanify it, is we take fresh rosemary. Rosemary's everywhere right now, especially with the holiday season. Can you use sage? Could you use thyme? For sure. But I love the floral notes of what rosemary is about. So when you're taking rosemary and you want to take it off the stem, what I do is I hold the stem like so, and you go against the grain, per se. And you just rip off all the beautiful little leaves. The leaves are super tender and really delicious. So the stem tends to be very woody, so that's what you want to stay away from. So you guys hold the top. Here's the bottom where we snipped off the rosemary. And we come down here and we just pull against the rosemary stem just like so. And another thing about herbs especially, you want to make sure you don't pulverize herbs. And what do I mean by pulverize? Don't chop them so much to where they oxidize. Don't chop them so much to where you lose that great floral note of what you're trying to get with the herbs. So what do you need to make sure that you don't pulverize them? A knife, but a sharp knife.
Right.
I was watching Alex Guanacelli yesterday on another show, and somebody asked her, how do you not cry when you dice onions? And she says, a sharp knife. Yeah. And it's really essential in the kitchen. The worst cuts ever are dull knives. Why? Because you force. You push harder. So with a sharp knife, I'll just take my herbs, which I have here. I roll them up in a little satchel, okay? Which means a nice little bundle in the culinary world. That's a fancy little term. And when I slice, I go through, and I never lift my knife above my fingers. If you think about it, it's like a locomotion. You're kind of just going down the train tracks like so. And as I do that, I'm never pushing the knife towards my fingers. I'm actually pushing the product towards the knife. So as you can see here, the whole time as I'll come towards you, I'm pushing my product into the knife and moving my fingers away. Yeah.
The claw, you always tuck your fingertips under your knuckles.
Right. The old school claw, but it's actually really true. You'll see the amateur cooks that are missing some knuckles here, but all you're really doing is, if you think about this, you're here, and that forefront of your finger right there is actually just a little brace to make sure that you can push ingredients towards and chop. Then when I get to this point, a lot of people do this, Margo, and this is a big pet peeve of mine. They'll take their knife, and don't get mad at me at home right now, I'm teaching a lesson. They'll swipe their knife on the board. What's happening is your blade is like so. And when you push your knife on the board, your blade goes like this, or your blade goes like that. You're unevenly setting your blade. So why do you use a steel? A steel will take that blade and set it again. If you actually just flipped your knife over and moved your product over this way, you'd simply save the end of the blade of your knife very easily. Then after I've chopped through once, I will take the top of my hand, I hold one side, and a lot of people say, oh, you look so fancy when you do this. All you're doing is I'm holding one side, and then I'm pushing through with my knife and chopping this way. I'm just going back and forth. And as I'm doing this, these are clean, very nice chops. This is not me bruising or slamming it. And I don't want to do that because I want what you can smell here. This smells like Christmas. This smells like the holidays.
It's the smell of optimism.
Optimism. I have not put rosemary and optimism together, and I love it.
Yeah.
So let's go here. So now we have taken our chopped rosemary. I'm going to add it into a bowl. Okay, Margo True, you add that beautiful brown sugar there.
Okay. Now, could you use light brown sugar or dark? Which do you prefer?
I was just going to ask that question. You can go either way.
Okay.
I would watch dark brown sugar because it has more molasses in it. So you would watch your cooking times. So the darker the sugar, the less you're going to cook it because it's going to get really, really dense and really, really dark. So I stick to, with my cooking, especially during the holiday season, I'll buy dark brown sugar. But typically at my house, I'm cooking with just light brown sugar. Okay. And then you have this very fancy pepper grinder.
This may not look like much, but it is the greatest pepper grinder.
I have never. I'm going to get carpal tunnel by the time I get a tablespoon in here.
Really?
I like this actually.
But it is actually produces
it actually,
a lot.
With one turn.
With one turn, look
that's
how
like a
much you
quarter
got.
of a teaspoon. That's really. By the way, you're going to miss this, Margo, because I'm going to steal this now. I really like this. It's like culinary pepper rain.
Yep.
I like this.
We do too.
From Chris White asking what brand of knife you recommend.
Okay, that's a really good question, Chris White. From where? Well, we don't know where you're from, Chris, but I'm going to answer that question for you. Here's the thing. With a knife, to me, it's a lifetime commitment. Okay? It's first and foremost, you want to make sure, if you come close here, you want to make sure that the knife is comfortable. And when you go to a store that sells knives, you actually, like a car, you want to test drive them. You actually want to pick up the knife and make sure that your grip, that you can actually hold it to where you're not forcing too much on your wrist. When you're chopping, you're literally just soft with your hands. You're not holding tight like holding on the steering wheel when you're racing a car. You're just holding the knife. At the same time, Chris, you want to make sure that your knuckles do not hit the board. So you see how my knuckles are away? You're going to need essentially 3 knives in your life. You're going to need a bread knife, a chef's knife, and a paring knife. So when shopping for the 80 of them that you get on a Ginsu set at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're coming home from the bar, that's typically not going to be the set that you're going to want. You're going to want to invest in one that is going to have actually a great, nice steel all the way through. Typically great knives like this are steel all the way around. You want to make sure that it feels comfortable. I'm a fan of Wusthof. I'm a fan of Henkel. I'm a fan of anything that feels comfortable to you. In the past, Global has been too thin for me, the handle, and now they've made actually bigger handles because I have big hands and I'm tall. I don't want to make sure that I'm not holding so much to where I'm straining. So something comfortable, something that feels good to you is good. And remember, it's like a good pair of shoes. Invest in it once, take care of it once, and spend the money to get a really good knife.
Yeah, actually, Ryan, this is my favorite knife, and I'm realizing it's probably too small for you. Don't you
I
think?
wasn't going to say
You
that.
probably, yeah,
I'm big,
noticing,
Margo.
Yeah, should
it's
have gotten you a big knife.
no,
but
it's fine.
It's sharp.
It's very sharp, and I love that. So now what we've done, hopefully that answered your question, my friend. So now what we've done is we've taken this bacon and latticed it on top of our baking sheets. Now in the book it says bake it around 25 minutes without the sugar and the rosemary. Why is that?
Why is that?
I was asking you. Oh, it says it in my book. You didn't read it?
Of course I read it. I
It
thought
said
you would wanna
because
say.
the brown sugar is going to burn. So what you want to typically do is pre-cook it about half the way, and then come and check this out. This is my favorite part. You do this, Margo, okay?
All right.
It's kind of like a Christmas sprinkle. It's like savory streusel. And what you're going to do is put that over every single piece.
All right.
Just like that.
Can
So,
do.
so brown sugar, black pepper, rosemary, ingredients that you have at home. I get asked a lot, can you use dry? To me, anytime you use dry, you want to use dry with anything that you cook over 3 hours. So typically, this is not going to be that because I really get that dry note. You know what I'm saying, Margo? Anytime
Yeah.
you work with dried herbs.
It is. It's sort of a dusty flavor sometimes.
It is, and that's why I say typically anything that you cook over 3 hours is what you want to use with dry because it's kind of that set it and forget it herb. You'll forget that it was dried and it'll set really well in your tummy a little bit later. So what you do is you'll put fresh herbs. Now, can you use sage? Yes, sage is great during the holiday season. Can you use thyme? Great, just the little stems will be really great. We're gonna now pop this Christmassy
All right,
looking,
go right ahead.
beautiful rosemary bacon. Look at that.
Ah, nice.
There's lots of little smiley faces popping up right now, I'm sure. Okay, we're gonna take this bad boy, we're gonna pop it into our oven over here.
Right. This one over here.
Have you learned the oven technique of TV yet, Margo?
The oven yet of tea.
The techniques. So when you walk over to the oven, I was taught this. Never turn your back. Never do any of those methods. When you do it, always have it in your opposite hand. Be completely awkward at smiling with your body turned open at the same time. Turn over, but keep turned to the TV at the camera at the same time. Close it this way. and nobody knows that you have your back towards. So when bending down and grabbing the bacon out,
You do it so well.
You go here, and you're smiling at the same time, making sure not to burn your hand.
Oh, look at that.
And you close with your right hand, and you come back up just like that.
The bacon is done.
It is done. So we are about, takes typically around 20 to 30 minutes. I don't recommend that you do this in a pan because of the brown sugar and because of all the deliciousness that's on there. It will burn. Cool?
Yes, very cool. And also it stays nice and flat.
It does,
When
and that's
you
what I
cook
really
this
like
way,
about
yeah.
it. You could typically, microwave it. My Nana had microwaved in the past, but let's go ahead and bake it in the oven. So now here is our one.
We have a
I
question?
also would like to know if you can microwave the bacon.
Oh, Chris, I think I just answered that question for you. Don't you just do me a favor? Try it. No, that's totally good.
Try it? Oh, yeah.
Try it.
Sure.
Chris, you can totally microwave it. I highly recommend. Here's the thing about microwave bacon.
Wow.
So what bacon does when you microwave it, you can put it on the rack. You can get one of those little fancy things at Bed Bath & Beyond that hold the bacon. Or my Nana used to actually take paper towels, put bacon down, cover it, 3/4 of the way cook it, take it off immediately because the paper towels will stick to it, then put the sprinkle on it and go ahead and do it. I think it'll work. I think it'll work pretty well.
That is so good.
Here, you guys want to try this?
It's like bacon candy.
Here, try it. Go for it. It's not going to bite you.
It is powerful. That rosemary is like
Love
really
it.
good.
You ever high-fived on the show yet?
No, you're the first one.
Cool. Margo True just high-fived me. Wow, that is so good.
Bacon greasy hand.
I love it. I love it.